women right here in St. Lucia. And from time to time, we tap into the region as well. When there's some compelling ones that you just need to, hello, she's right there. You can't miss her. So we definitely have to rope them in as well. And this morning, we have one such, and we are quite honored to be having her this morning. Tamara Mckayle is the name. We're getting to the conversation in a minute. But of course, we've got to stop and pay homage to our sponsors, our partners, the First National Bank, and of course, Courts St. Lucia. We appreciate you guys so much. All right, we take a word from them, and when we come back, we delve into our conversation.
Quartz Optical Annual Frame Event. Get up to 85% off on selected frames. Book your appointment at www.quartzoptical.com. Get that frame today with no cash from 3 to 24-month credit plans. You don't want to miss it. The annual frame event. Up to 85% off. Only at Quartz Optical. See in store for details. Quartz Optical. Value you can see.
First National Bank is dedicated to providing financial security through our Creditor Life Insurance Scheme, designed to offer peace of mind in managing your loans and debts with us. We understand the stress that financial obligations can bring, especially in unforeseen circumstances. That's why our Creditor Life Insurance, offered at the best market rates, ensures that your First National Bank loans are covered, alleviating the worry for you and your loved ones. Our partnership with leading insurance providers means that you benefit from comprehensive coverage that is both affordable and reliable. We offer tailored solutions that fit your specific needs, ensuring that your financial legacy is protected. With First National Bank, you can be confident that your financial commitments are secure, giving you the freedom to focus on what matters most in life. First National Bank, here for you.
Wonderful. Welcome to She Speaks for today. Let me bring my amazing guest up on screen right now. Tamara, we are so honored to have you in our company. Good morning, darling. How are you?
Good morning, Mareen. Good morning to your community. I'm doing fabulous.
Wonderful. Well, one after my own heart, my own tribe. So you could imagine my joy this morning.
Yes, I can imagine.
Absolutely. Well, girl, we only have half an hour, and this is your field, so you know how fast this goes by. Yeah. So we're gonna tap into this energy first, as to tell us a little bit about yourself. You're Jamaican born, born bred Jamaican, right, Drew?
Born, bred, Jamaican. I mean, I do love traveling, but born and bred Jamaican.
All right, you're a yard girl to the heart. Certainly. Tell us about being born in Jamaica. Just a little bit about your journey as a child. What sort of household? What are some of the grounding principles that you think contributed to the person, the individual that you are today?
Okay, well, Jamaica is, as we know, we're in the Caribbean, so it's tropical. I really enjoyed my childhood. I grew up in a very wholesome household. Typical working class. Most persons in Jamaica are working class parents. My mom was a hairdresser. My dad a police officer. But we weren't rich, but I never felt lack. I always felt like supported. I'm the wash belly, so my mom's last child. But
Right.
but I felt very supported. Like I was always. I remember, we all know Usain Bolt,
Yes.
and Usain Bolt is older than I am. But as a little kid in school, we would watch it because I grew up in the rural part of Jamaica, which we in Kingston we would call that country.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm from the same parish that Usain Bolt is from, which is called Trelawney. And
Mm-hmm.
so we saw him as an inspiration. And I remember once, because I did a lot of speech and drama in school. And I
Right.
remember once I got an award for speech, like it was like a poetry competition, and I won for public speaking and in primary school. I was probably like maybe 10 or something. And my dad commented and said, "You saying both run and win medal, but I talk and get medals."
Oh, certainly, certainly. So you're the baby of the family. What do you
Well,
have siblings
I'm the baby for my mom,
for
but
your mom?
my dad does have other kids, but as I said, I always felt very much supported and yeah. So I grew up in a very wholesome, supported community. And even though because my mom migrated when I was pretty young, and my parents they split, but even then, like it was still, I still felt supported. I went to a boarding school, so it was an all girls boarding school. Yeah, but even at school, like I was always that person that they used for any public speaking competition,
Right.
events,
Right. So you were always that outgoing, present person.
always. And I have like I always say big up to the teachers because I had so many teachers that really supported me and helped to hone my skills and my talent from I was a little girl.
Right.
And you know, teachers are really important in shaping our youth and shaping our people. So I really have a lot to be grateful for in terms of I've had a lot of people that have supported me, honestly, because even after uh fifth form, we call what we call sixth form. I'm not sure what you call it in St. Lucia.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have sixth form, and when I finished sixth form, when I was about to finish, I wanted to attend university, but at the time, as I said, my mom, she had migrated when I was pretty young, maybe about 12 or 13 to the UK. But you know, at the time, it wasn't always easy financially. And so by the time I finished sixth form, I wanted to attend university. But my mom was like, you know, my parents were unfortunately they didn't have the funds to send me,
Right.
and I was graduating as the valedictorian, and I was like, no, man, I want to attend. And my mom encouraged me to search for scholarships.
Right.
So at the time, I was searching, and then one day I heard about this scholarship on radio. You know, radio is so important. I heard about this scholarship on radio, and it was for the NCB, National Commercial Bank. And
Ah.
that's a big bank here in Jamaica and across the region as well. And I decided to apply for the scholarship. And when I applied, like I started doing a summer job, still not, but I still applied for university, got in and everything, but didn't know how the school fee was gonna pay. But I was like, it's gonna pay in faith, you know.
Yes.
And they invited me to come to Kingston to do the interviews and everything. And literally, probably a couple of days before university was supposed to start, that's the University of the West Indies, I got a call from the scholarship committee to say, congratulations,
Oh.
you're national winners. The big difference was
Wow.
that they had parish winners and then they had that year a national winner, which was the
Wow.
overall winner for the entire island of Jamaica. And I was ecstatic because they selected me as the winner. And with that scholarship, it covered every single thing. It covered my tuition, it
Wow.
covered my boarding on campus. I even at the time had a little extra to use towards like supermarket, you know. So, yeah.
Oh my God. That speaks so much volume. You see why we had to have you on the show this morning because you see that sort of tenacity, that sort of, faithful movement. You believing in yourself regardless of what the circumstances around you was saying. In these times, I think this kind of energy is so welcome, or should be so welcome because there's so much things bombarding our youths these days and they're confused in so many ways, You have gone on, let's fast forward a little bit to where you at now. You TV presenter, communication specialist, a YouTuber. Let's talk to the young ones now because you are actually exploring some of the things that they might be leaning towards as well. So I think you are going to play a very vital role here today in terms of inspiring a lot of our young people because I believe you can speak to the both worlds.
Yes.
And that is amazing. Right, fast forward to where you are today. I mean, when we say TV presenter, yeah, communications, yeah, but the magnitude of some of these things that you've engaged in speaks even more volume towards the nature and the character and, the brilliance in what you bring to the fields. So let's tap into some of the things that you've covered along these fields. And then we're gonna finally wrap it up on the YouTube thing because you've got something amazing going on there and we want to direct people to there so they can get more up close and personal with you as well. But when we talk about TV presenting, you've presented on various platforms. You've also your communication specialist stint. You've worked alongside a lot of the government agencies as well, right there in Jamaica. So you are definitely been dabbling in areas where you can make a difference. Let's talk about that.
Okay, well, as you mentioned, it's quite a lot.
Yes, it is.
People, they would think because from ever since people always think I'm older than my age because I always act very mature and I've always been a go-getter. But yes, a TV presenter actually started shortly after winning that scholarship. Maybe like into a year. I was about 19 at the time, and there was a big competition in Jamaica. I guess I'm good at winning competitions because there was,
Certainly.
yeah, there was a big competition, and it was, I saw it being advertised, and they were like, "Are you the next anchor?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me," because I always loved media. And by that time, I was actually as a first year student, and I was working on campus on on a local radio station on campus as a co-presenter
Right?
and doing things like that. But I wanted to do TV. And I'd experienced TV before as a student because we had like debating competitions and I'd been on TV before and I loved it.
Right.
So it was just that. So when I saw the ad, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to apply. I need to, audition. So some of my friends were like, how many things you're gonna do? But I was like, I want to do it. So I went ahead and I did. And when I entered, I was actually the youngest person in that competition. And it was for this television station in Jamaica called CVM TV. And so we have two major television stations in Jamaica. We have TVJ and CBN TV. So it was for them, and I entered. And the long and short of it was every week, just as how you have an America's Got Talent or one of those shows, every week the public would vote. We would have challenges, but it's challenges in broadcasting. So they
Wow.
would bring you to different areas and be like, okay, this is your assignment. You have to pre- pretend that you're the host of this program and you have to write the script and everything. And so every week you would have a panel of esteemed judges, which are like trailblazing broadcasters in Jamaica. And then the public would also vote. And each week you would have persons who made it to the next round. And in the end, I was selected as the winner.
Oh gosh, I love it. Certainly.
And with that win, not only did I get some money, which I'm grateful for, but also I got at the time a 6 months contract with that television station
Wow.
to be a television host on their morning show, a co-host, and also an associate producer. So that was where it
Wow.
started for me. Spent after that 6 months, they wanted to keep me on, and I stayed another 6 months, so I stayed a year, and then after that they still wanted to keep me on, but at the time I want, because I was in school full time on a full scholarship. So I was like, I'm gonna move on and just freelance while I'm finishing up school. And that was how it began. So since then I've worked at um many media houses in Jamaica. I've worked at Jamaica Information Service, JIS, which is you call it the state media then. And then I've also worked at the Scene Caribbean TV, Sportsmax, and you may know of Sportsmax.
Yes.
So I've worked there as a news anchor, nightly news anchor, and executive producer. And I was in charge of a whole team and everything. And
Wow.
that position I didn't even apply for. They headhunted me and they asked me to be a part of that. And I thought about it and I was like, okay, sure. And then I've also just freelanced with a lot of other media houses. I've also worked again for CBM TV, which I left when I was way younger. I was freelancing with CBM TV for a year. That was just up until recently. I did a full year with them as a nightly news anchor again. And as I said, just many other TV and radio stations that I've co-hosted programs with, or produced with, or hosted on television for. But for me, it's just something that I'm passionate about. And when you
Right.
know what you do, your excellence will show for you. It will speak for itself.
That is where I was heading next. What do you think is your strong point in terms of being so marketable and so lucrative within the media? Do you have any particular, or is just that a application and make sure that it's excellence that you put out whenever you're putting out something? Is that what you pride yourself on?
I definitely do pride myself on excellence in terms of my hard work. The passion will always speak for itself. And also, I'm somebody that I don't limit myself. And I feel like that's important. So I did mention the TV, but in terms of communications, up to a year ago, I worked for 3 years within the Office of the Cabinet, which is the Office of the Prime Minister for Jamaica. And I was sitting in meetings with the Prime Minister as the youngest person within those meetings doing PR and communications, from with major heads of government and, you know, major persons of government, like
Certainly.
politicians and everything like that. Yes. And again, for me, timing is also crucial because it was 3 years and then I moved on. And sometimes some people don't always understand. Everybody's journey is different. So I don't limit
Yes.
myself and say I have to stay at a place for 10 years or not because I have varied interests. And
Right.
even for my YouTube, I started the YouTube during the pandemic. I know you're going to come to it, but yeah, I
No,
started.
no, you go right ahead. Yes, I was going there next. I was going right there next.
Yes, I started that during the pandemic, and I actually prior to that had actually had a pilot for a TV program, and then I did the pilot, and then it kind of shelved a bit because at the time I'm depending on a videographer all the time, and you have to pay the videographer
Yeah.
and all these other things that come with it. And so I kind of shelved it. But then when the pandemic happened, and I realized a lot, I was watching the Wendy Williams show at the time, and I was watching all these major shows in the US that they were all online because it's the pandemic and
Yes.
people can't really get to go into studio. And then an idea came to me, why not bring back the idea that you have, but bring it online? And
Yes.
I was like, that's a good idea. So I started it during the time I was literally the one produced. I'm still the one doing it, but at the time you can look at the quality for the earlier shows to know the quality wasn't all that good because I mean like I was literally learning to edit myself because even though I'm in broadcasting, I was never an editor. And I taught myself how to edit using YouTube. And I learned to do so many things, and the show has grown. It's still growing. I consider it still in its baby stages, but we have now like episodes that have amazing personalities, like entertainers like Lady Star. Well, she's now Minister Marian Hall, Queen Ifeanyi. We've had heads of government, like we've had politicians like the Prime Minister for Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown. We've had the Prime Minister for Bermuda, David Burt. Persons across all sectors, business leaders, and it's not just limited to Jamaicans. Like I consider it to be an international program. So yes, so that's part of my YouTube. And then since recently I've expanded it now to include news updates because one of the things I realized I love social media.
Yes.
So one of the things I realized, which I can share to the younger persons who are watching, persons who are teenagers or you may be in your early 20s, is that the world I realize has shifted and has changed. And the way of consuming information, you can't just, you're live now, as you mentioned, you're in a radio studio, but you're also live on social media. So
Yes.
that's the way you have to operate nowadays. You can't just rely because a lot of persons nowadays, they're not consuming the information just from a traditional media source. So you have to bring the information to them. And so I would be live when I'm presenting the news, I would be live in studio, but also on TikTok.
Okay.
Example, and people loved it. And I realized because I was in New York up until I came back. I was in New York for a couple months, so I came back just a few weeks ago. And that's one of the things I realized that the international community, the way of presenting, whether it's news or whatever information, you have to incorporate social media because the way of consuming information has changed.
Absolutely. Let me ask you though. That being said, some of the traditional means of ensuring like news and information, these things putting them out in that form. With social media now, how do we strike the balance, or where do we know? Because everybody thinks it's okay now to just go on the social media and just do everything. And so we oftentimes get is a watered down version of careers like ours, that tend to take a beating sometimes. How important it is that the authenticity of what it is that we do, or media reporting or these stuff remains. even though we use the different means, how do we now strike the balance in ensuring that we do not allow the profession to get watered down, but while still utilizing where we are right now in terms of the technological world?
That's a very good question, Mareen. Well, in terms of striking that balance, that's definitely needed because the truth is the traditional media will always be needed for that credibility. Because that is where, with everybody nowadays, a blogger and you report their own reporter, and
Yes.
taking, you can't believe everything that you watch or you listen to because the truth is they may run with something and it's not credible or they don't have the full details. So that is where the traditional media now has to remain relevant and will continue to have that staying power because we will listen to a Mareen and we know, okay, Mareen, she's a professional in her field. So if she says it, then we know that she's credible. We can trust that information from her. Likewise,
Right.
for other media sources that are noted in that field, in our field, in our profession. So that is where the traditional media will continue to have its staying power. But I think to strike that balance, the traditional media now has to also bring their information
That is it.
to the social media platforms, which
That is it.
a lot of them doing now. We do see, but I think there also is a way to also engage persons. I've seen it a lot internationally. I'm seeing bits and pieces locally, but not so much. That's where I think there is a gap. So, for example, me, I go on my TikTok. I do post some of those same reels on my Instagram, but I'll do a TikTok news update, and it's just 1 minute 30 seconds. It's not long, but it's about
Right.
an item of news that the other day I did one. We had local government elections in Jamaica, and that one alone, it was just a quick update on some news item.
Right.
By the next day, it had like 70,000 views, right?
Right.
Because a lot of times the people may not necessarily. I will literally be on TikTok and people be like, I can't tell when last I turned on my TV, right?
Right.
So we now have a responsibility to bring that credibility to these platforms. So while we know that there are many other people who, the truth is, they're not professionals, they're just another thing, so they may not be credible. But because we know we're credible, that's where we have a responsibility to bring it to them.
I love that. Absolutely. Listen, we need a whole day, you know. You need to take a trip. Either I'd come to Jamaica, which is long overdue, or you need to take a trip to St. Lucia sometime soon so we could have a real lovely sit down and have that conversation even extended. But certainly, you are certainly a breath of fresh air. What's the name of the YouTube program? How can persons continue to follow it and follow you? What's your handles?
Okay, so you can follow me on Instagram at Tamara Mckayle or Tamara.Mckayle, it's fine. I do have a PR business, shameless plug. I am a public
Sure.
so you can also send an email if you have any queries, whether for bookings, because I MC a lot of programs and host. Email me at starspublicity@gmail.com. Or if you just go to my Instagram, it has all of my details there. So my Instagram is just put in my name on Instagram and you will get to see all of the information about me. And my YouTube channel is the Trailblazers with Tamara. So the Trailblazers with Tamara. And be sure to subscribe and check out some amazing content.
Wonderful. And in wrapping up, T, we have 1 minute. I'm going to open up the mic for you. So if there's anything you would like to throw to our listeners, our viewers, in terms of inspiration, motivation, go right ahead.
I just want to encourage you to keep moving forward. You have it within you. You can do it. There's nothing that is too great, too big. Do not limit yourself. Do not look at where you're coming from, but keep focused on where you're going and you'll get there.
You are amazing, girl. You rock. Keep rocking and keep those bright lights shining, all right? And keep pushing.
Thank you so
Keep
much, and
pushing.
all the best to you and your team, and to everybody watching. Have a fabulous day. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you again, T. Oh, she's amazing. Such a breath of fresh air. And that is our show for today. Join us again next Tuesday. We'll have another amazing woman. Maybe a Lucian, maybe a regional person. We never know. But certainly, the aim is to inspire. And I'm sure a lot of you were inspired this morning. Thanks, T. Thank you, everybody else. Thank you to First National Bank. And thank you also to Course. That's our show.